America, it's time for some straight talk. You love your phone. Look at you. You hardly put it down. But you don't love that expensive wireless plan, do you? So what if I told you can keep that phone network and number 2 for a lot less? Well, this is me telling you. It's time to switch to Straight Talk, guys. Bring your own phone and get unlimited plans starting at just $45 a month on America's largest, most dependable 4G LTE networks. Straight Talk Wireless. Only at Walmart.
Savings may vary. Please refer always to the latest terms and conditions of service at straighttalk.com.
So how do you feel about Jeter being introduced today? The Marlins are – I see a whole lot of people all of a sudden thinking to themselves, wait a minute, they're going to go with a cheaper payroll than Loria? They're not going to even have Stanton? I got to give Loria credit on this one. Man, did he handle the Stanton thing right. Like, he figured out exactly how to handle that. Don't pay him anything out of your pocket. Someone else will get stuck with that debt. But keep him around here in a way that makes you seem like the hero, and then the guy who's got to get rid of him, because this is not going to be blamed on Loria. That they lose Stanton is not going to be blamed on Loria when it should be, given that 7 years he hasn't been able to do bleep around him, and now Stanton wants to leave. Stanton wants to leave because he's like, I'll get my money somewhere else. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be around losing and low payrolls anymore.
It's a great move by him. A great strategic business move by Jeffrey Loria.
I wish he had
already blaming Jeter.
I wish he had run the entire franchise as smartly as he did that one move, because they'd be champions instead of a dumpster fire. Because that move was good. He got Stanton at value, and now someone else is going to get blamed. What he did is he figured it out. They had to do the sell-off so many times that they figured out the right way to do it, which is just pay Stanton nothing for the first 4 years of his deal and then backload it in a way that once you've sold the team, it's not your responsibility anymore. That's just amazing.
It is amazing.
You have to be a master scammer to pull that off. Like, do you realize
what's surprising about this, though?
But do you realize what a pioneer he is on this front? It is an unprecedented contract in sports history in every way. The pioneer is Jeffrey Loria.
Yep. Man, they got a stadium built in a city that does not want baseball. I mean, this should be the least shocking thing, at least for me.
What's the least shocking thing?
Just the fact that he would be able to maneuver the Stanton contract in a way that
it suggests public relations competence that they showed at no point during their tenure.
I guess you're right.
It's a scheme of public opinion that they kept Stanton, and the only way they could do it is with Bernie Madoffing it. The only way they could not, they would have lost Stanton already if they hadn't tied him to that contract. And the only way they could tie him to that contract, because they didn't have funds, was to create a Ponzi scheme pioneering contract that Jeter would get stuck with.
Right. But I guess what I'm saying is, based on the characters, based on Jeffrey Loria, David Sampson, are you surprised they were able to pull that kind of deal off?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Stugotz, what gave you any impression whatsoever that they were savvy or cared about public relations at any point in their 10 years?
Not PR, just the money aspect of it. The fact that we'll pay him nothing and then he'll be someone else's problem after we sell the team. Hatching that plan, that's all I'm talking about.
I just don't remember this the way that you guys remember it. When they signed the Stanton contract, I remember all of us being puzzled by the way it was structured. I don't remember a whole lot of people saying, even though you guys claim they were, that Loria had figured out an escape hatch and was definitely going to be selling the team in, as fast as he possibly could under the legal terms of the stadium contract. I did not see that coming. I thought Loria would die in that chair because he cares too much. He's going to be really lonely, man. He is going to be really lonely without the glory that comes from being a sports owner.
Wah. Yeah. Poor Jeffrey Loria.
Let me be lonely with a couple of $1 billion.
Get out of here.
I feel like today's supposed to be a happy day, and you're bringing a really weird energy to the day, Dan.
Oh, no, wait a minute. No. I was representing what I thought was your viewpoint. I don't have any issue with this. I thought you were the one that was down on Jeter.
Oh, Jeter. I am down on him. Don't get me started on him. Do you see Jeffrey took his bobbleheads with him?
Yeah.
He's taking the bobblehead museum.
He's 4 years old. I want you to think about a $1 billion transaction being made and Jeffrey Loria actually negotiating bobbleheads. He's 4 years old.
Look, it appears that this Jeter thing might not be a great situation for all of us. But before we get there, let us celebrate the departure of the most hated owner in the history of South Florida, Jeffrey Loria.
When's the parade?
We're still working on that. I spoke with somebody over at. Why you guys laugh? You realize how impossible this thing is?
No, I'm not.
I was not laughing at you. That was
Mike.
Guillermo and Stugotz. And based on his work this first segment, Guillermo shouldn't be laughing at anybody.
What does that mean?
That you're sitting here saying this is supposed to be a happy day when you've been saying get Jeter out of here, and I miss Jeffrey Loria for 3 weeks.
You know, I was thinking about it. Is Jeffrey Loria really that bad?
Oh my God.
Look at the resume. We got a World Series. We got like 3 World Baseball Classics. We got a stadium. We got an awesome home run sculpture.
Got an All-Star game.
We got an All-Star game.
All-Star game that they took away from us.
Yeah, but we
already.
got it.
That's
Doesn't
true.
matter, but
No,
we
but
got
they
it.
He got it back.
Yeah.
He got that back for us, Dan.
Yeah.
What's Jeter ever given us?
I don't understand what your viewpoints are on this.
I don't know either. I'm so conflicted because I wanted Jeffrey Loria to leave so bad, and this Jeter seems to be worse than Loria. So I don't want him either. I want a good, competent owner with money that's going to spend
be
it.
a happy day.
I'm so conflicted. I thought so too, but I don't know what to think, Dan. What do I think? And now they want to bring back Jack McKeon, and they want to have Jeff Conine and Andre Dawson and Tony Perez, and they want them to have some other role. Did we save their jobs? I don't know. I'm so confused, Dan. What's going on with the Marlins?
I would have liked that earlier in this
I'm
segment.
so happy for Stanton, but I called him a grande por gusto, but he had such a good year, but he wants to leave, but he had such... I just... What do I do, Dan? What do I do with this team? Because I was happy with the way the season ended. It was a disappointing season, but it was a fun season.
They scored a lot of runs, man.
They did. Yeah. I do understand your frustration. You went to Guillermo to get that about 4 minutes
That's
ago.
right.
Yeah.
And there it is.
Yeah.
After
And
the
he
fact,
gave you a
when I
happy
don't
day.
want it, and now it was
I
too
don't think
loud.
dumpster fire is fair also. Did you see the stat that Clark Spencer tweeted out about the Marlins over Jeffrey Loria's tenure in the Dolphins? They had a better win percentage than the Dolphins.
What's that saying?
That's saying they're not the mess of the town.
Okay. And I'm better endowed than a eunuch. Like, what? Well, okay, congratulations. You're better than the Dolphins?
They also scored more runs than the Dodgers, but we gave up 200 more runs than the Dodgers gave up. It's this pitching. And why, by the way, can I ask you a question? Why is everyone out of here except Michael Hill? Can you explain that to me? He seems to be the one responsible for this roster. Why is he the only one sticking around?
It is an odd guy to keep around, is it not? I mean, the one guy who survives is Mike Hill.
Billy wants Tony Perez in charge.
Oh, that's not a bad idea.
They need somebody to help them transition.
And it's Mike Hill?
They need somebody. I'm not even sure they'll keep Mike Hill. They kept David Sampson around for a little bit in order to just fire people. They might be keeping Mike Hill around just because they don't know where to get the files. I'm not even kidding you. Like, hey, Mike, what are the passwords? I'm not kidding you. Like, they're going to blow everyone out. I don't think Mike Hill's going to keep his job. Do you?
You think Mike Hill has the passwords?
I'm just saying that he knows. Like, I'm saying they need to transition. You can't just have everyone leave the organization. You don't know where the coffee is.
I was reading that they might be interested in some guy from the Braves who's like under investigation for all these illegal signings in the Caribbean, which seems like a terrible person. Like, stay away from him. Don't sign that guy to run your team, please. This isn't going to be any better, is it, Dan?
I don't know.
We don't know.
Here's the thing, though. I would say to you that I want to take my chances with the possibility that it might be better simply and exclusively by seeing if these guys can get cheap young talent. If they're better at making a farm system. Because, good Lord, their farm system is in shambles, and it's hard to believe. It is hard to believe how barren their farm system is, given over the years the number of people that with value that they've traded.
Right. Nearly impossible to have this bad of a farm system.
It's really hard.
Yes.
Like, it's really hard in baseball where you can, like, measure what prospects are going to become by just checking their minor league plate discipline over 3 seasons.
Right.
You can have a pretty good idea of what it is flabbergasting that they have nothing that anyone wants in their farm system. And really the only thing the Marlins have, think about this, after 10 years of building, 10 years of on the cheap going for prospects and trying to do it through the draft and minor league with very little free agent help. After 10 years of that, the only thing valuable in your entire organization is your outfield. That's it. You got nothing else. You got nothing else in the farm system. You got nothing in the pit, in the bullpen. You got nothing on the pitching mound. You got nothing in the infield that anybody wants. I guess Bohr.
D. Gordon.
Yeah, maybe D. Gordon.
I think they'd take JT Realmuto, too. Yeah.
Well, what are you getting for those guys? Like, what you think you're going to get a big-time prospect? Maybe for Bohr. Maybe for Bohr.
No, the big-time prospects are coming back if you want to deal Stanton, if you want to get rid of Yelich, who has a good contract. You're not getting big-time prospects for Gordon and Realmuto, even though they're serviceable players. Like, those are players, they've been good for them. They could fix that farm system with a couple of trades, though, right? A Stanton trade, a Yelich trade. What I'm saying is when he says, is this going to be any better, is I'd like to see what Jeter flips Stanton into, because the Marlins flipped Cabrera into nothing. Right. Into nothing. Into Burke Badenhop. Yep, the hopper. And you got Andrew Miller, and thank you. You got Andrew Miller and Cameron Maybin. They're still in the big leagues, but they're not even playing for you anymore.
The trade's not terrible now.
The trade's not terrible now.
Right now.
Because the guys are producing for other teams.
Well, Andrew Miller's much better than Miguel Cabrera right now, right?
Wait a minute.
More valuable.
The trade is still terrible. You had the best right-handed hitter of my lifetime practically for 10 years in Detroit, and what you had for him was Burke Badenhop.
They saw something with Andrew Miller. They were right.
Eventually.
This is just annoying, though, because now I need to wait like another 5 years for them to be good. Like, I don't want to wait 5 years. We're close-ish. We need pitching, but we're not going to get it.
Yeah, but you don't have anything of value to get it with.
I mean, spend some money.
I mean, okay, but they did. They gave $80 million to Chen. Like that was their big pitching acquisition.
Oof. It's baseball. Every time that you think they're going to be bad, they're not that bad. Every time you think they're going to be good, they're terrible. Let's relax.
I'm not going to question having Luria out of our lives.
Exactly. I thought this was a good day. We've been waiting for this
day. That's what I'm saying. I feel
since this show started.
You owe $2 for this entire segment.
Better the devil you know, Dan.
You're not making any better. $4.
Me? I've killed it this segment. What are you talking about?
You killed the segment.
You killed the segment. I'm actually excited about the baseball playoffs. I really am. Those are some good baseball teams.
Starts tonight. Well, except the Twins. Easy on the Twins. They're not very good.
No, the Twins aren't very good, but they're like, I have no Arizona at Cleveland. Cleveland is so deep. Arizona, the Cubs. Like, the Dodgers are going to get accused of choking this year if they don't get out of the National League, and it's going to be damn hard to get out of the National League because those teams are good.
They are very good, but the Dodgers, I mean, eventually you got to do something in the postseason, right? Especially Kershaw.
Fine, but it's random.
I don't care how. You know what? It's random for everyone. Do something in the postseason. They're there every year. They've won 5 straight division titles. How about win a series in the playoffs? Mm-hmm. I'm serious, man. Mm-hmm. And Kershaw, they spend more money than anyone. Kershaw's a disaster in the postseason, and Yu Darvish, that's going to be, to me, that's the difference. Can Yu Darvish be a great number 2 for the Dodgers? I don't think that he can. Just giving you some baseball analysis.
I mean, I just love Stugotz's opinions that are based on nothing. He went 5-0.
Based on gut, man.
A gut that is more substantive after all those hurricane snacks you ate.
Killing me.
I'm very disappointed in this opening segment.
You are?
Yeah. Because this was the show that Lori is officially gone.
Well, this is why I have fined Billy. This is why I have now fined Billy $4 on this segment. Guillermo caused this when he said, "What are you doing? I thought this was supposed to be a happy day." And all I was doing was voicing what I thought were Guillermo's opinions that are now conflicted.
I mean, how am I supposed to feel, Dan?
Well put.
Hi, everyone. Stugotz here. Support for the Dan Le Batard Show podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, and your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. With Rocket Mortgage, you can apply simply and understand fully so you can mortgage confidently. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Stugotz, STUGOTZ. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030.
Dan Le Batard.
Would you mind if the new owners of the Marlins knocked down that statue in center field?
It's obviously an eyesore, but it's gotten to the point that it's, our eyesore.
Really? You guys have gotten there.
It's something that we all laugh at together. It's so bad that it's become good.
You wouldn't go to New York and take away the apple, Dan. Come on.
Stugotz.
Would you guys look at a lot of other things and describe it that way? It's something that I mock, but it's something that is in the middle of my city. So therefore, I'm proud of it and don't want it removed.
Pitbull.
Okay, you win.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on the ticket.
All right, I think I owe Stugotz an apology for insulting him during the break. We'll get to that in a second. I didn't feel like I was insulting him. I thought I was saying something that might have been obvious, but I think I hurt his feelings. So we'll get to that in a second. But we are collecting things for Puerto Rico here. If you have anything locally, we're going to do it nationally as well. You could go to the website HFUW. H as in Harry, F as in Frank, U as in Ubaldo, and W as in William.org/PR. Well, what should I have gone with on the U?
You?
Udonis?
U as in Udonis,
UD,
really?
yes.
Wait a minute. Udonis is just as funny nationally as Ubaldo is locally.
I haven't heard the name Ubaldo as in Ubaldo Jimenez.
Weird place to
in
go.
about 8 years.
Right.
You Darvish?
All right. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. It starts with an H.
So if you want to help out, HFU as in Ubaldo, W.org/PR. That is one way. Heart of Florida United Way is assuring us that they are going to get relief directly to people who need it. And also here at the Clevelander, we are collecting canned, non-perishable food, bottled water, baby formula diapers, mosquito repellent, pain relief medicine, non-dairy milk, can openers. If you got any of that stuff, we'll put you in a raffle here to win some show swag. A bunch of people will win some show swag for stuff that gets brought in here, anything that we collect. How is that going? We started yesterday. Am I going to be made sad if I go down there because nobody contributed anything?
I haven't poked my head into the box since yesterday afternoon. I was pleased with the progress that we made when I left the studio yesterday, so I imagine it's somewhere around there. There were 2 raffle tickets in our fishbowl, but in our defense, a raffle ticket, that's a new thing. So
there were two
lonely
raffle tickets. Well, that'll help. I mean, we are flooding. We are inundating Puerto Rico with love and supplies. 2 raffle tickets.
Yeah, 2 raffle tickets. So right now you have a great chance to win.
All right.
You'll be happy to know that we just put in an order for our next wave of Le Batard Show shirts, and this season's theme is Stugotz Army.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, this brings me to how it is that I insulted Stugotz during the break, because many of you think that I am jealous of Stugotz and that I don't want Stugotz to get all of the things in the world that he wants, even though Stugotz knows very well that behind the scenes I have fought very vigorously to get him all of the things in the world that he wants. However,
who thinks these things, man? Besides me.
There are people who think that I am jealous of the success that you're having. Oh. So
we're having it.
Yeah, but I also know that you are someone who can't be trusted with too much success. Otherwise, everything will get taken away from us. So during the break, Mike, let's explain to the audience what was happening here, and let's make an assessment on whether or not I indeed insulted Stugotz. Something happened. I don't even remember what it was. And Stugotz was in the middle of a kind bar, chewing, stuff falling out of his mouth, rubbing his belly, and he was pointing, this is how you do this, this is how you do that. He was telling everybody how to do their job. And I'm like, man, in 10 years, if you get all of the power that you want, that explosion is going to flash across the sky and be felt everywhere at the end of your career. And he's like, well, I'll be 55. It'll be fine. I'm like, if you get everything you want, the amount of power that you will have, you will destroy yourself and everything around you with it.
I was saying, really, I pointed out 55 because I'm hoping that stuff comes before I get to 55.
Well, what was he doing, Mike? What was he doing? Mike often leaves the studio, sometimes because of me, more often because of Stugotz, but sometimes because of me, just shaking his head sadly at his lot in life.
It's always me. It's never you. Let's be honest.
It's just he comes in here. He was happy when he entered, and then he just leaves, sort of a head sagging, shaking his head. And yes, it's usually something Stugotz has done. This time, though, it was administered with a lot of pointing of sausage fingers. Kind bar crumbs falling on his shirt. And what was he correcting? Do you remember, Mike? Because he had the answers to everything, as he always does.
Well, we were talking about whether or not Allison's feelings were hurt by some criticism you threw at our Celebrity Prognosticator segment recently. And Stugotz was just the most cocky Allison expert, as if he totally forgot how he botched firing her that one time.
I haven't forgotten. Still regretting.
For those of you who are wondering, well, what happened with Celebrity Prognosticator? The way they insulted Allison during the break, not just Stugotz, Allison, is by saying that I thought our Celebrity Prognosticator this year, all of whom have lost, by the way.
Yep.
I thought that our Celebrity Prognosticators were just people you were fishing out of your phone. Maury Povich, Kenny G, John Lovett.
Right. Which would suggest that she's not really putting the effort in to get new celebrities on the show. And I'm telling you, that's going to rattle her and the rest of the show.
I didn't even mean it that way, though. I meant it just as like, those are people who've been on the show a lot. And so that's all I meant. Like, they're people we've talked to previously, so I assume they're easier to get than people we haven't talked to recently. And also, Mike Ryan, for some reason, made the criticism that hurt Allison that all the prognosticators have been old and white. And Allison looks back at him after now. Maury Povich has lost and says Richard Lewis this week. I mean, they have been. The purpose of the Celebrity Prognosticator is to be super hugely random.
Right.
John Lovitz, Kenny G, Maury Povich. Like, it's not meant to be actual celebrities. Sometimes we sneak in a Ving Rhames or something, but they're not meant to be celebrities. They're meant to make fun of both celebrities and Colin Cowherd.
Yeah, the original name for it was Crappy Celebrity Prognosticator, but that became difficult to explain to people who were on hold after a while.
Right.
See, but I like that better because I feel like the audience might have lost over the years. That segment might have been diluted. And people might not realize now, we've got so many new people listening to the show, they might not even realize that that's meant to be funny and crappy on purpose. In fact, put that on the poll, Guillermo. Did you know, this is going to make Allison's job harder, did you know that the Celebrity Prognosticator was supposed to be crappy on purpose? Was supposed to be a crappy celebrity on purpose.
What are you doing?
Occasionally, we'll surprise you with a Gene Hackman, but usually it's Gallagher.
That's right. Well, that's how we became friends with Carrot Top. He had like 7 straight weeks. See, these guys, though, we've had a couple of runs, all right?
Well, he's coming up next if Richard Lewis loses.
Carrot Top went on a heater.
Listen to this. Yeah, but this is the thing. You say go on a heater. Carrot Top, Big Boy from Outkast, and Nitro the American Gladiator. All of them.
We couldn't get rid of that guy.
Yeah, we couldn't get rid of him. All of them, but Nitro the American Gladiator might be your first hint that in a previous incarnation, this was indeed a crappy celebrity segment.
He took offense to that.
No, I know he did. Nitro the American Gladiator, but all these people have had 7 and 8 week runs. This is the part that's exasperating to me. All of them are like one game above 500. So when you guys say heaters, it's just they're going 2 and 3, and that week Cowherd went 1 and 4.
Yeah,
like they're not actual heaters.
But
nobody's actually produced a really sterling record at this.
No, but they're doing their jobs, which is beating Colin Cowherd.
I know, but I'd prefer, somebody luck into a 5-0 like Stugotz did this week. Stugotz lucked into a 5-0 and has made Mina Kimes question her self-worth and every belief that she has in the universe. Because Mina's preparing for everything, and Stugotz belched in her face kind bar, and then's like, I'm going to do these 5 picks right here, farted, and then just had no information on any of his opinions, picked 5 games this week, got them all right.
Exactly how it went down.
We've had a unique problem this year. A couple years ago, Colin was pretty good at picking games, but this year he's on a roll, and we're not actually that bad this season. We just don't hold a candle to Colin Cowherd's expertise.
Well, define roll. What is he doing? Define.
He had another 4-1 week.
Wow,
back-to-back 4-1s that he's throwing up.
I think he's lost like 5 games through.
We're limping in with John Lovitz. Like I can't fight that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
John Lovitz. What I do love about the celebrity prognosticators, do you realize how many times our listeners have fallen in love with these people? All three of them have lost, and all three of them have been people that you've been rooting for because you wanted to get something started with us that would endure over the course of a month. All three of them. You're sad that Kenny G lost. You're sad that John Lovitz lost. You're sad that Maury Povich lost because each of the three were great with us. And so now this week you're stuck with Richard Lewis.
Yeah. And he's
not going to go anywhere.
He's going to be the guy he's
going to go on a heater
because he's the one we like least. So he will hang around.
Daddy, where do babies come from?
Honey?
Mommy went to the store.
Oh, well, you see, there's a mommy and a daddy, right?
Right.
And see, when they call Geico, they could save a bunch of money on car insurance.
Oh, really? And that makes them happy?
Yes, that makes them very happy.
That's good.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we could have this talk, sunshine.
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
Dan Le Batard.
And I'm going to tell you something, Hulk Hogan. I heard what you said about me a few days ago, yeah. And I don't think that you can separate business from friendship. I'm your friend. But if I ever see you in the ring, I can beat you. Don't you know? Yeah.
Stugotz.
Randy Savage, I know your
mustache is crooked.
Your beard is a little sideways, too, but I don't want to get into that.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on the ticket.
Can I ask a question, Macho Man?
More questions.
I'm sorry about that. Macho Man Randy Savage.
Again, if you're in Miami Beach, if you're around the Clevelander, if you like what we do, the times that we ask you for stuff, we try not to do it too much. You flatter us every time that we do ask you. In exchange for all of the free entertainment that Chris and Billy and Allison and Roy and Mike put together every day at no reward for them. None. Zero. In exchange for that, you guys usually come very strong when we ask you to come strong on anything. And we're asking. On Puerto Rico, if you have canned non-perishable food, baby formula diapers, mosquito repellent, pain relief medicine, can openers, non-dairy milk, any of these things, you come by the Clevelander, you drop it off, 1020 Ocean Drive, Miami Beach. If you're around here, if you buy a frozen drink, the Clevelander will give half of the proceeds to Puerto Rico. Anytime between 11 and 11, the sports bar here at the Clevelander, you swing by here, and you enter this raffle that right now is very winnable.
Yep. 2 tickets.
Also, nationally, many of you, we don't need stuff mailed here. We're just trying to help people locally here during the local hour of this, and then nationally we'll do something else. But locally, we've got a flume that's headed toward Puerto Rico, where we know we will get some things in the hands of the people who need it. And so if you can help us with that, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. every day, the sports bar at the Clevelander will be taking those goods I mentioned, bottled water, canned food or non-perishable food, baby formula diapers, can openers, pain relief medicine, mosquito repellent, non-dairy milk.
And if for whatever reason you didn't write any of those down and you can't remember it, if you go to our Twitter account, we just uploaded a tweet asking for donations here, and attached that as a GIF, and you can just hold your thumb over that GIF and find out exactly what those items are that we're looking for.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be money here. We are trying to do this a little more intimately and make sure that people get stuff that they need in Puerto Rico. Ron McGill going to join us at noon Eastern. Russell Brand was exceptional with us yesterday. And, I mean, he is in such a spiritual place right now. And I want to ask him about this today because I feel like when you've got an addictive personality, I've seen this a lot with yoga. When you have an addictive personality, you just pour that obsessive compulsiveness into whatever it is that you're addicted to. And if it's not heroin or your devices or meth or sex, it can be spirituality. It can be self-love. It can be therapy. It could be yoga. But I found that a lot of rehabbing people are in yoga because they just trade addictions. You know what I mean? Michael Irvin talked to us about that, about realizing how he was an addictive personality. And how disciplined he was about being aware of where his addictions were. So he wouldn't bleep with any of that stuff during the season, because during the season he would be addicted to workouts that would make him vomit on his shirt, that he knew that he wasn't done with a workout until he had thrown up for the second time from the amount of work he was putting in. So he was just pouring that obsessive compulsiveness instead of into sex and drugs. He was pouring it into football during the season because you can't be good at that sport, honest to God. Like when I see what happens with Ezekiel Elliott where his body changes, or even Amari Cooper, I start to wonder, hey, what's going on in their off season when you've gone to someone who was great and hungry? Did the party get you?
Right.
Did the party get you? Because it's really fun to arrive at the destination.
But Michael will tell us he was addicted to football in season, so that really helped him out. You're right.
It was a curious way that he handled it, that he was able to be that kind of discipline. But I remember talking, listen to this. I remember talking to Michael Irvin. He knew this very early on, and I miss these Miami days so very much. Michael Irvin made a distinction early in his career, when he was still a kid, before he was an adult, before he learned much of anything. And we were talking about discipline, the idea of discipline, because those Miami teams were viewed as reckless and undisciplined. And he corrected me so fast with this. He said, man, discipline ain't that stuff off the field. Discipline is, it's hot. You're tired. Your body really hurts. Your mind has floated away because of how tired you are. Fourth quarter, close game, in the heat in the Orange Bowl. And that quarterback goes hard count and you don't jump because you're disciplined. And I was like, man.
Just goosebumps, right?
Like, man,
yes,
man, how do you know that as a kid?
Yes.
How do you know that as a kid? It's one thing for an adult to say that. How do you know that? And he's like, and we are disciplined. And
he was right in your face when he said this, right?
Well, no, he was not right in my face. Okay. But one of the things, you think he's a close talker?
Oh, I know he's a close talker, yes. Okay. Yeah, I've spoken with Michael. Okay. He gets right up in your face.
Okay.
Yeah, and he whispers.
Yes, he's very passionate.
Yeah, I figured that was a whisper.
Yeah.
But the thing about those Miami teams of Jimmy Johnson, they were disciplined that way. The Dennis Erickson ones weren't. The Dennis Erickson ones were so like
the coach wasn't disciplined.
Right, that's right. The coach was throwing up in buckets before the game, vomiting because he had fever blisters on his face because the pressure got to him.
Yeah, he was jumping off sides because it was happy hour.
Right. Yeah, there was no discipline on those teams. That was just interesting to watch that evolution, though, like sort of a coach who knew how to harness all of that versus a coach who didn't. They both got their championships, and they both did it with messes all around them, right?
Yes.
Off the field.
Yes.
But you could not say that Jimmy Johnson's teams on the field were not disciplined. When could you ever say that? You could say it about all his teams off the field. But when could you ever say that a Jimmy Johnson team was undisciplined?
I mean, I get you guys would know better. You would certainly know better. But I guess that was never an argument with a Jimmy Johnson team, whether they were disciplined on the field or not. A lot of people said they played dirty, a lot of penalties, stuff like that.
Yeah, but none of that was reckless without design. That was reckless with design.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, Daniel Stubbs was a menace, and Jimmy Johnson didn't mind those 15-yard penalties against Oklahoma because Daniel Stubbs was a menace.
And as Michael Irvin told you, that's not discipline.
Mm-hmm. Well, one of the things that I find funny about the evolution of football, as Georgia Tech still scares Mike Ryan, because you have no idea what's going to happen in that game. Like, their option offense is very frustrating, and they can keep the ball for 10 minutes, no problem. And
I'll know early on what kind of game that'll be.
Well, but one of the things that was amazing about all those old Miami teams is they basically ended the option for everybody. Because Oklahoma and Nebraska kept coming in here with that as the prototype.
And
that's the college offense, and there was too much speed on the defense, and they basically ended it. Like, only Georgia Tech is still, Navy's still doing it, but nobody's really, that used to dominate college football. And then Miami came in with a pro-style offense playing against that, and they nuked it. Not even Nebraska and Oklahoma play that way anymore, and they used to all the time.
Nuked it twice because Eric Crouch had a lot of success running some of the option.
Did Tommy Frazier? Did he run it too?
Yeah. They kept it going until Vilmond and boys.
Miami, Florida, FSU, they ended up nuking all of it. The speed of Florida ended up nuking that Midwestern primitive Amish offense for everybody. Because, Oklahoma and Nebraska were dominating those sports, and then they'd come in here, and there was no chance against Warren Sapp. against Cortez Kennedy, against Russell Maryland. They were blowing up the middle of your line, and then the linebackers were coming to feed like wolves.
Georgia Tech's really an outlier because it's typically used by the armed forces schools because there's such a talent disparity that's viewed as an equalizer. If you can't stop this, we have a real chance. But Georgia Tech will argue it's hard to get people into our school. It's actually a great school, Georgia Tech, but they had so many great athletes there when they weren't running that offense. They had Calvin Johnson there, dude.
They had Calvin Johnson.
It's amazing. That he went there.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is amazing. Let us talk here. Adam Gase says he's given no consideration, no thought, not a thought to the benching of Jay Cutler. Do you believe him?
Yeah, I do. I believe him.
Do you believe him if it happens again?
What if Jay plays bad this weekend against the Titans and Gase comes out and says I haven't thought about it?
If they put together a third one of these, this is two intergalactic stinkers they've put together on offense.
It's been such I think if he has a bad game, yes, he'll probably come out and say, at least I'm thinking about it, I'm considering it. I think Cutler will have a good game. It's been a weird season just because Irma forced him out to the West Coast. They haven't been home really, right? It's been 2 road games, then over to London. It's been kind of a weird season. I want to see what Cutler looks like on a normal week playing a home game down here. I want to see what that looks like. I think it will look a lot better.
I mean, it can't look any worse.
It can. You're right.
It can't.
But I think it will look good, I guess is what I'm saying.
It can't look any worse. I don't know why you would have faith in that. I understand.
I have faith in – I know the offense hasn't been good since he's taken over as head coach, but eventually he's got to get something right.
You have faith in football being weird.
That's fair. Fine. Yeah, I have faith in a home game and a quarterback playing better at home. Yes, you're right, and football being weird.
It's weird to say because they've had 7 points in their last 2 games, but when I watch their offense, I'm not sure I sit back and say, this is all the quarterback's fault. It seems to me that there are other problems that there. Maybe that's what Adam Gase has given voice to.
I know. Yeah, well, he is giving voice to that. He is saying that on the interception, that's not where he expected the ball to go, and the tight end's got to do a better job of fighting for the ball. He was blaming it on everybody except Cutler, really. But the thing to me that is most jarring from amid the stats is they're not taking any chances, man. It's all constipated 4-yard passes to Jarvis Landry. Like, they are not throwing the ball down the field at all.
Right. The first game they won, they actually did it a couple of times at Devontae Parker, and they've gotten away from it.
But Gase is saying we can't throw the ball down the field. Like, I am so down on this offensive line and the idea that they've poured these investments into it. And nobody would consider this one of the best offensive lines in football. And it's just exasperating, the idea that Jay Cutler might be made to look like this because the offensive line can't do its job when you've got 3 bleeping first-round picks on your – like, nobody does that.
Right.
Nobody builds that way anymore with first-round picks along the offensive line. And they did, and you still can't protect your quarterback?
Right. Well, I was going to say, if any team does build that way, and most don't, they usually get it right. Like, if you're going to use 3 first-round picks on your offensive line, because I believe the Raiders have done something close to that. Their offensive line is good.
Look, Raiders and Cowboys have invested higher picks, but the Browns have invested high picks in the offensive line and a lot of money in free agents, and they're not protecting their quarterback well.
It is a exasperation in terms of mismanagement. The idea that you could watch Jimmy Johnson win Super Bowls with 7-round picks on the offensive line, or you could watch Bill Belichick making the offensive line pieces largely interchangeable, and Miami is pouring these huge investments into the offensive line, and you're watching the games, and you don't see any distinction between the guys that you have and the guys that other teams have. You don't see any, like, at least with Oakland and Dallas, I see, and even Tennessee, I see things where I'm like, okay, those offensive lines are good. They're helping. But how can you pour this much in the way of resources into your offensive line, and then you go these last 2 weeks, and it's not Cutler's fault? How?
It seems impossible. And you're right about the Patriots. Although this year, Tom Brady is on pace to get sacked more than he's ever been sacked, I think, in his career. So, but you're right, Dan, to use 3 first-round picks, high picks on tackles, on a center. Well, Pouncey's getting old, but
but here's the thing. I really think that football is in the place that I've been telling you that baseball is in, where the skill level is so high that you're getting hitters who are looking for just home runs and pitchers who are looking for no contact. So listen to what I'm about to say to you. Colorado and the Dodgers played a game the other day, last week, in which for 35 minutes a ball was not put in play. 35 minutes, there was not a ball put in fair territory. And I think these defensive players are getting so big and fast, so much bigger and faster, playing on the same measurement of field that they used to play on when they weren't this big and fast.
Right.
And the skill levels are so high on even these quarterbacks that you think are incompetent, where they're always throwing into these spaces that look tight. It looks like the receiver is covered, and yet it's a completion because the quarterback is so skilled about placing the ball in exactly the place where only Kelsey can catch it, even though he's covered, because he can never be covered, but he's always actually covered. You know what I mean? Like
yes. He's just bigger and taller than everyone
right.
else. Yeah.
There's always somebody on his hip, and the ball is always put in a place where only he can catch it because he's so big. And I just think that the skill level has gotten to such a place that now this is what you have happening. The offenses need to evolve, and so how do they evolve? A couple of ways. Quarterbacks get rid of the ball really fast because I feel like all of these defensive linemen are largely unblockable one-on-one. Like all of these guys. Washington has these guys. I'm watching Washington. I don't even know who these guys are, and none of them can actually be blocked.
I would like to see the metrics on this because growing up, it always seemed as the quarterback sneak was unstoppable, or you call a run play when you were, third and goal and inches from the goal line, and that was an easy touchdown because you were right there. And now every play gets nuked at the line of scrimmage, and the defensive line gets such great push that you're calling all these pass plays. And when in the 90s, it would be such an easy call to run there.
If someone passed down on the goal line, Dan, it would be a surprise.
Yeah, what are you doing?
It would actually be a surprise.
I would love to watch like 1980s football. You know how ESPN Classic is the great myth destroyer about what you thought you were watching at the time?
Yeah.
It's stunning to watch Michael Jordan miss a shot. On ESPN Classic and NBA TV, I'm surprised every time Michael Jordan misses a shot just because of what a great myth buster it is.
That's what you notice in myth busting? I notice speed differences.
Oh, yeah.
And like the way that Navratilova and Chris Evert hit the ball is different from the way that women hit the ball today.
You sit there and watch it and say Serena would beat either of these two 6-0, 6-0.
But what I'm saying to you, though, what I'm wondering about, though, is if you keep the field dimensions the same and you keep making the players bigger and faster, what you end up doing in football on offense to minimize things is your quarterback is getting rid of the ball in 1.4 seconds, and every route is 3 yards.
Right.
Every route is 4 or 5 yards because you just need to get all of these wolves off of you.
So you're looking for a bigger field. CFL.
Thank you for missing all of the point.